right, so continuing with the Dead on the Money activity, the first three results that you are asked to find are simply the count of rows for the different tables, so we can look at those pretty quickly. So the count of rows for the table claims blue, and actually I want to go ahead and save that table, is 1,868, and we can see that down here at the bottom, 1,868. For code cost, the count of rows is 1929. And then for the dead beneficiaries, we have, let's see, we have 2,045. The next two results have to do with creating some summaries for the provider. So this is kind of a big leap. So let's go ahead and do our joins in a couple of steps here. I'm going to close these out and make sure I have everything saved the way I want them. Okay, so I'm going to create a query, and to get the claims with the beneficiaries who are deceased, so I need to merge those tables. So I'm going to take the claims and the beneficiaries, and I'm going to do an inner join. All right, and of course this defaults to the inner join, and we'll run that. And let me go ahead and grab all of the fields from both of the two tables, and I will run that. And so we notice now I have a table of all of the fraudulent claims that were submitted for beneficiaries who were deceased, and you'll notice down here that I have now 924 records, which is less than our original table, and that makes sense. We expect it to be a subset of that original table. All right, but I want a little more information. I could go ahead, let me go ahead back to the design view, and I'm going to ask to show a different table. I'm going to go ahead and pull in the code cost. All right, and then that will bring in the items cost and description as well. Okay, and I'm going to run those, and I'm going to make sure I didn't lose any records. I'm going to come down here, and I have 924, and this is a pretty clean data set. It makes sense that all of our item codes would have a match. You have to be a little careful about it, so you could, what might be a safer thing to do is to come back here, back to the design view. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and remove this table, and I'm going to actually create a second query. Let's do this. Let's call this one query. And these are all of the claims for the dead beneficiaries. So the fraudulent claims, if you will. And a safer way to do this would actually be to go ahead and create a different query, take the claims that we know are fraudulent, and then add in the code cost, and then do a left join. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure I don't lose any of these fraudulent claims. If for any reason there is not a match on the item code in the code cost table, I still don't want to lose that claim, because I'm really concentrating on the fraudulent claims. So I don't want to lose any claim lines that are fraudulent. So this is really a safer way to do it, is to actually do it in two steps and do a left join here. And I don't want to do those two steps together, because if you do multiple merges with outer joins, that could be a little bit risky. So this is going to be a safe way to do it. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to add all of this information and this information as well, and we'll run it. And you'll see we have 924 claims. That makes sense. And now I also want to go ahead and get the provider sums. So I'm going to do another query. Let me save this one first. Okay, and now I'll do a summary by provider. So I'll do query design. I'm going to work with this table because it has all of the information that I need. It's got all the fraudulent claims. It also has all the money. And now I'm just going to work with doing some different summaries on this table. Sometimes access is a little finicky when I try to expand this table. All right, so what I want is the provider ID, and I want the cost that each supplier submitted. So this is going to be a totals query. I want to group it by the supplier, and I want to get a sum for each provider. And let's go ahead and sort that in descending order so I can see who that top provider is. Okay, and so here it is. And so this is going to be the answer to one of your questions on the activity. This is the provider ID who had the highest amount of claims submitted in terms of total cost, P582609. And then you are also asked to find the sum of the cost for that particular provider, and that is the 21238. So those are actually two separate answers. One is the top provider, and the other is what was his sum in claims.